Good afternoon. It is December 20th, 2025. Welcome to episode 129 of Porterhouse and Teal Live. And it's been about a minute, Rebecca. It seems as though it's been a very long time since you and I sat down. And in fact, I looked it up because it goes all the way back to episode 128 on November 17th. So a little bit more than a month ago, it's been since you and I have sat down and shared a few thoughts. Have you missed sitting down here under the bright lights of our little recording studio in an alcove in our bedroom here?
Did you really have to tell them it's in our bedroom?
Well, that's whatever, man. It's our house.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah.
I enjoy sitting here and conversating and seeing who pops in to see us.
Mm-hmm. Well, this isn't actually live. So
this isn't live, but
there will be nobody that will pop in to see us.
I understand that.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you can see who's listened to our live recording.
I see.
And I actually miss visiting with them live.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, maybe we should do it live. Like Bill O'Reilly. Do it live.
Just do it live.
That's right. So anyhow, it's been kind of interesting around here in the last month or so. We got through Thanksgiving. We hadn't been on since actually Thanksgiving was after our last live.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice to get together with family, as it always is. And we had a house full of people, 22 to be exact, of family, and it was nice to get everybody together, as it always is. Not everybody was able to make it, but for those that were able to attend, it's one of my favorite holidays because it's just nice getting together to break bread and see people that maybe you haven't seen in an entire year.
Yes, it's nice because there's nothing really expected out of anybody other than to visit and enjoy each other's company, have something to eat.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And, unlike how Christmas has become, it's very commercial. And, it's a really fun holiday when you have a house full of young kids that you're raising and that whole thing. And then when you're a kid yourself, I can recall looking fondly upon those years where you get really excited about Santa and the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, that shine is kind of like gone for me as far as that's concerned. But we are in the holiday season. What are we, a week or so out from Christmas now?
Yes, today is the 20th. So we've got 5 days for Christmas.
Got all your shopping done?
I do have my shopping mostly. I did order something online.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to expose this particular company that I ordered through.
It's Etsy. I'll expose them. It's Etsy.
Okay, it's Etsy. I have not ordered much through them. This is, to be precise, this is actually the second time that I've ordered through them. And this is the second time that it does not appear as though it's going to show up on time, even though the time frame they gave me would have given me, well, it was supposed to show up on the 16th. Today is the 20th, and it is still not here.
It's still in customs in another country, is it not?
It is still in customs, yes. So the likelihood of it making here on the 25th is pretty slim. So I had to find something different to get that particular grandchild for Christmas.
Yeah, perfect. Well, it'll always work out, but I'll name drop.
But I do have to say, Christmas was a lot of fun growing up. You got excited. Matter of fact, we were talking about our stockings being a used sock and having an apple and an orange. And I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Nuts. And if you were lucky, a candy cane that probably hung on a tree for 2 or 3 years before it made it into the stocking. So it was nice and chewy.
Yeah. Yeah.
those
No,
were
you
delicious.
have to be a certain vintage to appreciate Dad's black sock laying on the hearth with an apple and an orange and some walnuts in there, right?
Yeah, mine had mixed nuts, but
Okay.
yeah. But they were ones you still had to crack. And
Sure. Yeah, that's how it was done.
there were no toys in there.
Yeah. The grandkids would be quite shocked to find that on a Saturday morning or a Christmas morning anymore. But the good news about the holiday season is before Thanksgiving's even over, the Christmas ornaments are in the stores and they're playing Christmas music, and some dude from the Salvation Army's out there with a bell ringing, trying to get you to cough up some cash well in advance. So, the commercial aspect of this joyous holiday, it never ceases to amaze me.
So I went out shopping with our oldest daughter just last night, and she was looking at, I can't even remember exactly the item that she was looking at. And I pointed out to her, I said, you realize that that's not Christmas. That's a Valentine's.
Oh, no way.
Yes. They already
have
have Valentine's out and Christmas hasn't even come.
Yeah, it's crazy. Commercialization. It's something. But that's the whole point, is to get us to purchase things that we really don't need, but yet we think we have to have them.
Mm-hmm.
How much do we have in our house that's like that?
Oh, there's a lot. I would say that at least, well, in our house, because of our children and them not taking their items, there is probably half of the stuff in our house. I'll go as far as to say half of the stuff in our house is not needed.
That's probably true for most people. It's pretty interesting. I may have mentioned this before, but I don't know. When I used to take the inmates on grade project to the dump, we had a project at a dump down in Butte County that I would frequent and go. And actually, one of the jobs that we had to do was pick up litter at the dump. So I had the inmates out there with garbage bags, and we're picking up litter because the litter it starts blowing around,
Mm-hmm.
and it leaves the property. So they have like a barrier, a fence put up where it would collect all this litter. And so I had the inmates out there collecting litter at the dump. But nonetheless, I used to trip out on that, standing on a mound of shit that's like, I'm thinking, man, every bit of what I'm standing on, somebody at some point thought, oh, I just have to have this. Mm-hmm. Whether it's furniture or it's a toy or it's some kind of thing that people were just so excited about. You know how excited you get when you buy something new. It's that endorphin rush of like, oh, I've got this new thing. Well, now it's in a landfill. It's just kind of amazing how that works, you know?
The sad thing is you feel like you really, really need it. You get it. You use it maybe once, be it a piece of clothes or an item for your kitchen or whatnot, and it's not new anymore.
Yeah, but you know what I need? Running shoes.
You don't need anything.
I need running shoes.
You don't need anything.
Yeah.
You just ordered 2 pair.
I know. In fact, I'm sending one back so I can get it in a different color. Because, I got to be fashionable like my wife over here, who's got a color for everything.
I try.
That's right.
There's certain things that just cost too much to be able to accessorize the colors, and it's quite stressful for me.
Yeah.
But I have to deal with it.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this is they're actually one of her favorite colors, teal. So it'll make her even more jealous when I open the box and go, oh, look at my new shoes.
It will make me jealous.
Yeah. Anyhow, but Thanksgiving.
I think you own more shoes than I do.
Maybe running shoes for sure, but that's neither here nor there. But so Thanksgiving came and went. We got a chance to light the burn pile this year. Last year we didn't do Thanksgiving, so I had a burn pile out there that was double big, and it never ceases to amaze me the amount of biomass that's generated on this property. Whether that's through me going out and actively pruning like I'm doing right now, because as things go into the dormant period, that's time when I need to go out there and manage some of the fruit trees and different things that I have growing around here, whether they're ornamental or what have you. I have to go out and deal with that sometime.
Or it's those excess boxes from all the running shoes you order.
Well, there's a lot of that on there too. But nonetheless, there's just a ton of biomass. So even after the pile was burnt, like the next day, there was already another pile being started. Now, some of that will wind up going into making biochar, but I generate so much around here. There's no way that I can deal with all of that as far as making char. So it just goes on this huge pile that starts to accumulate and amass all this material. But yeah, it's quite nice to get that out of here this year.
Yes. And then I think we probably talked about the struggles that I personally was having with the pool and getting it to get back to the right color.
Is it back to the right color?
It actually is. So I'm pleased about that.
Yeah.
Now it's just tinkering with the manual vacuum cleaner and the automatic vacuum cleaner to pick up things that are actually sitting on the bottom of the pool.
Well, now that's exciting. I'm sure the listening audience would love to know more about your pool.
Absolutely.
Could you tell us a little bit about what the pH levels are?
If they wanted to come and swim, they might want to know this.
Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Dive in. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Well, anyhow, we are closing out season 3 here on Porterhouse and Teal Live. And that's wouldn't think that it's season 3 already, but how this whole thing kind of came about was I started doing these lives about in the fall a few years ago. And so the first season was only like a partial season, maybe a third of the year was the first season. And then we had a full season last year. And then this year is concluding the third year, second full year. And so we'll be starting season 4 next year. Who knows what that will bring? I have no idea. And so what I wanted to say about that was, for anybody who's actually listened to this broadcast for any amount of time, none of this will be any surprise to them. But we kind of don't really know where things are going to go a lot of the times. I know she doesn't know at all, but a lot of times.
Thank you.
Well, no. I mean, I put the stream together, and sometimes I put together notes and things like that of maybe things that I might want to talk about. And oftentimes she has no clue and what I'm going to say or what have you. So I didn't mean that in any way that was derogatory or negative. I'm just saying that's the reality of this particular live stream. Mm-hmm. She's very much along for the ride as far as what I'm going to say on any given week. And the reality is that I don't really know where things are going to go a lot of times either. And so either some people appreciate that about this live stream or they don't. But if you're new here, thanks for joining us. If you are returning after all of these episodes, which isn't really that many, we're only at 129 in 3 seasons. However, this was only supposed to be about 4 episodes a year, her and I sitting down and having a conversation. So we've far surpassed that but by manyfold. But we'll just kind of see where things go. And as we kick off this episode and move into anything in the future, right?
Yeah, I believe you started it off having guests.
I did.
And
started with Tim the Tool Man.
And then it just kind of migrated into having me join you. Mm-hmm. And it just increased from there.
Yeah, she's a great guest. I love talking to you. It's fun.
It's the only time you talk to me. No, I'm kidding.
Well, that's very true. We don't talk at all until we get here under the bright lights in the studio of Porterhouse and Teal Live. That's very true, right?
Yes. Well, I'm busy with doing things that are typically inside the house. There are things outside that I do, but primarily you are the groundskeeper.
The outside guy. Yeah.
Yes.
That's kind of the way I think a lot of households run, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of traditional.
So we're pretty much come dinner time is when we're come together to eat, and it's time to go to sleep not too long after that.
Because we're old.
That's
right.
We're old and we're gray.
Yeah. Well, this, boy, I'll tell you what, the weather in California has been unprecedented, quite honestly. I don't know if it's like never happened or whatever, but I know since we've lived here, which is 24 years, I guess. We moved in 2000. So
25.
Okay, 25 years, I guess.
Because it was December 1st of 2000.
Okay, so 25 now. I don't ever recall having this much fog. It's been really funky, man, like every day. And we had periods there for like 2 weeks where it just didn't get above 40 degrees, which is not cold for other states. They would think 40 degrees. What are you talking about? That's like really balmy. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the visibility
And-
only cleared up for what, a very brief period of time.
Yeah. I mean, it was low visibility. It was very cold for us. And so the weather hasn't been too conducive and inviting for me to want to get out there and actually do things. But this fog thing has impacted the entire state. Well, not the entire state, but let me just say it like this. For those that are unfamiliar with California, California has a valley that runs about 400 and something miles in the dead center of it. So if you look at a topographical map, what you'll see is a mountain range on the west, which is the Coast Range. And then you see a mountain range on the east that runs lengthwise, north to south. That's the Sierra Nevada range. And in between those two ranges, what you have is about a 450-mile bathtub. This valley, it's a very fertile valley that grows a lot of the food that people eat in this country and around the world. It's like the breadbasket of California, they call it. And so we live at the very northern tip of that bathtub. And, in between the two ranges. But for, it's been since right after Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. It's just been fog that's been like really bad. But however, now we're actually getting a little bit of a change to the weather pattern. So we're starting to get some rain. So it's raining out there right now, which is helpful. We went through a period where we didn't have any rain. So that was getting very concerning from the standpoint of drought and all the other bullshit they want to start freaking out about when you don't get certain weather patterns. I actually got an email from London.
I did?
No, I did.
Oh.
And he was asking about the fog. So, I said, yeah, we've been getting it. Definitely. But it was a couple days ago. And so anyhow, the weather's been shitty, in other words. So it's caused me to be a little bit less inclined to want to get out there and get motivated for extracurricular homesteading activities, in other words. Mm-hmm. Right. So what I basically wanted to do, aside from my fitness goals, which are on point, I'm not doing that, but wanting to get out there and do anything that I don't need to, that's extra, I'm not interested in so much. So I get a load of wood in to keep the fire stoked and then make sure that the livestock is taken care of, which to this point, we really only have the chickens and one cow. And so there's really not that much animal husbandry and maintenance that needs to be done in that regard. So my days have been pretty light. Mm-hmm. Right.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that even though the fog is not as dense, the fact that it is raining is hard to kind of muster up wanting to be outside.
Right. Well, you've been getting out there. I've been working out on the treadmill in my little workout room here. And you've been going out and getting out in the weather and doing your runs outside. So kudos to you, Rebecca.
Well, see, the further I get away from the house,
it's further away she gets from me, which makes her happy.
The less likely I want to run right back to the house.
Right?
No. When I'm inside the house, I just feel like I'm not going anywhere.
You're not. You're inside the house.
I know. See, I like that.
That's irony.
So I am opting to go ahead and go out. Now,
get some fresh air. That's important.
Today, it was not raining, but however, coming back, it was raining. Mm-hmm. Luckily, not really, really hard.
Yeah.
But I did trip on a rock, so I had to come back at a certain point.
Right. One thing that I have been making sure that I'm keeping up on is the leaves out there. And it's like this time of year that never ceases to keep spitting leaves out. It's a very long process around here. A lot of different types of deciduous trees and plants and things that are shedding their leaves. And for me, that is a real windfall because of a lot of reasons. And I don't know if people think about leaves in the way that I think about leaves. What do you think about when you think about leaves, Rebecca?
I think, boy, you need to get out there and clean those leaves up.
Yeah, no, I you know what I think? I think the majority of people look at them like they're kind of a nuisance and they don't want them on their lawn, or they don't, they got to get them out and do something with them. And they're just a natural part of the cycle, if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because those leaves still retain not only the organic matter, the carbon, but they also retain residual nutrient value. So that gets recycled back into the earth. And so you can either do like I do in some instances, is collect it up and use it to make compost, which again goes back into the earth eventually. Or what I have been doing, and it's a good time this time of year to make sure that any of the areas you have that you want to protect the soil is to put those leaves in those areas, because it helps with erosion. It helps with maintaining the soil temperature. And when you regulate the soil temperature so it doesn't get too cold during the winter months, it's going to promote more activity and more life underneath that bed of carbon that you're putting on it. So in any of the areas that I have around here, like the edible landscape area that I have out front, mm-hmm. and the hugel mounds and stuff like that, I take some of those excess leaves and I put those over the top to provide that protection. It just really helps to encourage the development of life. So now's not the time to go in and start doing a bunch of pruning in those areas. You want to let the foliage from whatever plants that you have just naturally kind of go and weep down or droop down to the soil and start to be consumed by the worms and any other thing that's there. And then come springtime is when you want to come through and start doing like cleanup in that regard. But yeah, I've been making sure that the leaves are taken off the lawn and either they go into the chicken yard, which I've been putting a ton of them in there. And then any of the other areas, like I said, those edible landscapes are getting a dose of leaves as well this time of year. So, mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've also had our first chicken snagging.
You want to talk about it?
I was getting ready to leave and I saw a hawk kind of fly over the chicken yard and up into a tree. I failed to let Eric know that I had seen a hawk. And as it turns out, that evening, one of the chickens didn't get itself put up and it got snagged up by.
Well, here's the thing. I actually don't know because I didn't see the hawk. I didn't see him actually eating the chicken. However, the chicken was eaten. Mm-hmm. So I found the chicken and it was behind coop number 2, wedged in between the coop and the cyclone fencing. And when I saw it, it was back there wedged up and there was like feathers and stuff in the dog pen. And I went over there to take a look at it and it had been like the head had been removed and eaten. And it was getting into the breast meat and all of that. But I don't know if that was solely the Cooper's hawk that I had seen or if it was actually that cat, because we have a feral cat that was hanging out and he was pretty interested in what was going on over there. So I don't know which one of them was eating the chicken, but something had to spook that chicken, I think, and get it to go behind that coop. So at this point, I think it's a Cooper's hawk that is probably the culprit, but I don't know that for certain. So that is our first predator loss in the 3 years now that we've been running chickens in this chicken yard. And so it happens. And that was the first time it's happened.
And amazingly, the following nights, we've had a chicken who has not made it into the coop, but has survived through the night, not being put up.
Yeah. It's whatever, man. It's going to happen. If they want to go in where it's nice and safe and they've got a roost in there where it's warm and out of the thing, out of the weather, they are more than entitled to do that.
Of course, one of those nights I was feeling really generous and I chased it down and stuck it in.
Well, that's very nice of you.
It is nice of me.
Yeah. So what I've been doing actually to minimize the risk to the chickens out there and to minimize the threat by this unknown entity, which I believe is a hawk, is I've been keeping the chickens up. The old birds have been up for the majority of the day. They only get let out about 3 p.m. And so that gives them about an hour and a half of running around outside in the yard before they wind up putting themselves back up, because it gets dark and they don't operate well in the dark. And they know that. And so they go right back into the coop, and then the automatic doors shut behind them at 5:15 p.m. And so that's kind of minimized the risk to the flock. The 35 chickens that we have, the pullets, they've been sequestered for the most part in their coop number 1. And man, that's a lot of birds to have in that little small space.
It is.
It's a lot of birds because it's a 5x5 coop. However, it has 3 levels. So they can navigate vertically to kind of avoid one another, and just, there's vertical space, which kind of opens things up for them. But the floor space is only 5x5. And so today I had to let them out a little bit early. They've been out in the chicken yard since noon or whatever, but I had to clean their coop because, man, it was getting funky.
It smells terrible.
Oh yeah. There was a lot of poop in there. So, that was done, and more wood chips were brought in all 3 of our coops, and the chickens are out there right now. They might be getting terrorized by a Cooper hawk as we speak. I have no idea.
It's possible.
I have no idea. So we'll just kind of see if that winds up becoming an issue long term. But I would really like to get after that Cooper's hawk and introduce him to Uncle Remington. Yeah, Mr. 12 gauge. Because I'm not cool with that.
I don't think it was a cat, though. I did see the cat kind of eat some ruminants that were left around that made it into the dog's pen.
Sure.
But I didn't see the cat try to reach through the fence.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. Where's my got an email yesterday. I thought I would address it here on the stream, just because I wasn't really able to, I don't think, address it appropriately in the email that I had sent him. So maybe he'll listen to this. And even if he doesn't, maybe others might glean some information from this as well. But got an email basically from a gentleman named Tom. And he says, in a video, you put a load of char into a batch of worm tea to charge it. How long can you store that biochar before putting it into the garden? I want to do almost the same thing, except I want to put the char into sandbags and hang them in a 55-gallon drum while creating his compost tea. Can I put it in the ground and wait for spring to plant, or would putting it into buckets be okay as well? Any information would be most appreciated. Now, I won't read you what I wrote him because it might not make exact sense. So I'll just try to explain it in this way. I thought that was a good question. And I like when people think outside of the box. I like when people are thinking at ways that they can do something that is going to work in their scenario, in their environment. But basically, the thing you need to understand about biochar and inoculating biochar is that it's a very receptive form of carbon is what it is. It's essentially a sponge. And anything that it comes in contact with, particularly if it's got moisture or liquid, it's going to extract what the contents of that liquid or substance happens to be. It's negatively charged, so it's going to attract things with positive ions. So, for instance, like compost tea, like he's referring to, what he's thinking of doing is putting it in, like burlap sacks or what have you, and suspending it in his compost tea for a period of time. And it's going to absorb not only the nutrients, but the microbes contained within that tea. And then he wants to use it at a later time, putting it someplace that he wants. He wants to make a bunch of it now and then use it at a later date. Now, that's totally doable, but the two primary things that the biochar is going to take in, one is nutrients in the form of micro and macronutrients. So you might have it taking in your macronutrients of your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium, right? Your NPK. And then it's all of the other myriad of different micronutrients that it might take in, manganese and, sulfur and, all this other stuff, right? It's going to absorb that and it's going to retain it within the biochar. That's going to stay there even when it's dry. The problem is that if he wants to retain the other part of what it's going to absorb, which is the microbiology is living. And so in order for it to remain living, it needs to still be damp. It needs to still be hydrated. You can't let it dry out, or those microbes are going to perish. And so what he can do, if he puts it in the ground, which would be probably the best option, as I had explained to him, because it's going to be less hands-on. It's going to be less that he has to try to maintain if he puts it in the ground in the wintertime, say leaves it in the bags or what have you, and buries it. It's going to retain the moisture. It's going to draw in that moisture from rainwater and whatnot. It's going to help to keep the microbes in a state of activity. Or he can put it in buckets. However, doing it in the buckets, he's going to have to try to manage that by keeping it some way moist, by either adding compost to it or adding some worm castings or something like that. That's going to keep it that way. But then he needs to be able to keep it aerated. You can't just keep it closed in a thing that doesn't get air to keep it from getting anaerobic. Right? It needs to kind of be aerobically conditioned. So essentially what I'm saying is that either is a viable option, but just understand that if you want to maintain the life within the char, you need to keep it like wet. You need to keep it, right?
But it sounds like you're saying it needs to be wet, but it doesn't need to be saturated.
No, if it's saturated, it's going to become anaerobic because there's no ability for it to breathe. So it needs to be about the consistency of a damp sponge would be ideal.
Which sounds like it's a lot of work.
It would be. So it would be best to put it in the ground, in my opinion, if he wants to retain both of those elements, which is one, the nutrients doesn't need to be wet, but the activity, the biology, the microbes need to kind of be damp, right? So anyhow, that's the answer to that question. I thought I would try to address it, and hopefully that made a little sense. Did you understand that?
I did.
You did?
I did.
Oh, cool. Well, maybe other people might understand that too, because
you look so surprised.
It's not that I'm surprised. I'm surprised that I was making any kind of sense at all. That's the surprise that I might have, not because you understood what I was saying. But
okay.
But anyhow,
that was a nice save.
No, it's the truth. It's God honest truth. Yeah. Oh boy. Hey, another thing I thought I would mention, because this is something that we do, and I think might be something that's overlooked by some. maybe not so overlooked by others, but it's a very important thing that you might want to just consider because it's very low-hanging fruit. The bar for success here is very low monetary commitment. And it really only requires you to maybe look at these things once a year or so. But, smoke detectors, guys, this time of year is, generally when I do it, I mean, you can do it any time of the year. It doesn't have to be in the fall or in the winter, but that's typically when I get prompted to do this because there are so many house fires this time of year because of people are burning their fireplaces, right? You're going to have chimney fires. You're going to have people doing stupid things. I can recall going to a fire when I worked in SoCal, Southern California, where somebody had lit their house on fire by putting candles on a Christmas tree. No, this is no joke.
Well, it's the way they used to do it.
Well, that's what they did as well. And they burnt their fucking house down. And so all I'm saying is that things happen in the wintertime a little bit more from the standpoint of fires in homes. And they can happen at any time of the year, but this is just a time that it's a little bit more prevalent. And smoke detectors are a very, very smart thing that you need to make sure that you have in your home, especially if you're somebody who considers yourself to be preparedness minded. If you're a prepper, you should have smoke detectors. That's very, very, very smart to do. Not only in all of the bedrooms, every bedroom that you have should have a smoke detector, but the corridors, the hallways leading to those bedrooms should have a smoke detector as well, because you should be in your bedroom sleeping with the door closed. That's going to make sure that you have, at least another barrier if there's a fire that does occur. Most people do sleep with their bedroom closed, anyhow, but that's typically how it goes. And then therefore, if you have a smoke detector and a heat detector that's outside your bedroom in the corridor leading to, you should be alerted even with your door closed.
Yes.
Because there's about 1,800 to 2,000 deaths every year from faulty detectors. Now, I say faulty detectors because you may have a detector up in your house, but is it even fucking working? Right? Did somebody take the battery out and you're not even paying attention to it? That's one of the first things I check when I go into a motel is a smoke detector, because oftentimes people go in there, they smoke, they do whatever, and then they wind up removing it. And if you go into some shady ass place, which there's a lot of them, they don't give a damn about it. It's up there. It doesn't have to make noise. They're in compliance according to them. Until somebody says, "Hey, dude, there's no smoke detector," then they're going to have to come up with a battery for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which has actually happened to us.
Of course it has. Yeah, it's happened a lot. I used to stay in all kinds of motels when I was, in the service, in the fire service. I'd sleep in 50, 60 motels a year, seems like, in the summertime. And
well, the other thing you check too is the filters and the heat and AC. Which are usually pretty disgusting.
Yeah, they look like a dryer lint. They look like the lint in your dryer. You open the thing and you pull that little screen out, and it's like caked with this shit that looks like it came out of your dryer. And all you do is you take it into the bathroom and you run it under water, because it's like a plastic filter. It's just like a filter that's plastic. And it just rinses all that bullshit off. And then you'd be surprised how much better when you wake up your sinuses are. Oh, it's motels are disgusting, man. Can't even believe it. Sometimes you go in there and it's like, dude, did you even change the sheets, man? Right?
Yeah.
I think they just pull them back up sometimes, because there's I've seen pubes in there, people's pubic hair and shit. I'm like, what is this? Well, stains on my sheets, dude. This ain't cool.
I think a lot of times if they know that you're going to be in that room for more than one night,
Well, that's fine.
The likelihood of them changing the sheets,
yeah, that's fine.
are kind of slim.
Yeah. And there's a lot of bed bugs in those places too. Because I was talking to, I'm not going to name drop, but I was talking to a guy at a Thanksgiving party, Christmas party, I think it was. And he works for Orkin, the pest removal place. And he was telling me all the places in town that he goes, and he says, oh, dude, you would have no idea. Some of these motels and even the hospitals have bed bugs. And he says, it's freaking gnarly. And when they have it, they want to keep it on the down low. Like, especially he was telling me about a case down there in Chico, and Low Hospital had bed bugs. And he says, oh man, they kept that shit on the down low because you do not want that getting out to the paper. He told me that, and I went, what?
Yeah.
And you don't think they have that in motels?
Oh, they have to. It's kind of gross to think about how many people have slept on the mattresses that are in there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is great holiday talk. Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry Christmas. There was one that we slept in.
Oh, here we go. It's going to get good, guys.
We walked in. The chair looked like it was a chair that somebody picked up off the side of the highway.
It was in Nebraska.
It was nasty, and it didn't even sit upright. And I was like, I can't sit in that chair.
Yeah.
And the carpet was so dirty that we had to go, because I wouldn't walk on it.
It was bad.
We had to go down to a store so I could take my shoes off and put
You bought some flip-flops.
Flip-flops so that I would walk on. And there was no way I was getting in the sheets.
You know what that was? That was in North Platte in Nebraska. North Platte, Nebraska. And it was the Knights Inn. I'll never fucking forget it. It was just, it was pretty wild. And we thought, oh man, this ain't too bad. What did we pay? Like $32 a night? We were like, oh, this is sweet. And it was like the worst, man.
It was terrible.
Oh, horrid. But anywho, Merry Christmas.
Yeah. There's no way I was going to stand in the shower.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing we've been starting to kind of work our way through with all this inclement weather, given the fact that we haven't wanted to get outside, some of the things that are important to do that we haven't actually completed, but we've started, is taking inventory and stock of our over-the-counter medications. Because it's a good thing to have, for one, which we have a lot of, but you need to look at that stuff from time to time, do you not? To make sure that it's not like 5 years past whatever. Not to say that in a pinch you might want to use it, but there's nothing wrong with rotating that stuff out and making sure of what you got isn't super old, you know?
Yes, I would say even medication that is a prescription would be good to have, even if you have to pay full price for it, to have on hand.
That's all super important to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all it's going to take is another, what's this deal, man? All it's going to take is another, something like a pandemic or whatever next event. And then all of a sudden the shipping lanes are clogged up and there's a strike from the Teamsters or whatever, you know, and you can't get stuff. So it's just an important thing to make sure that you have what you need, so you don't need to leave your house for something very innocuous. Make sure you got your NyQuil, make sure you got your antacids, make sure you got, you know, whatever it is that you have as over the counter medication.
Well, over the counter, but also as well as a prescription, backup prescription. I would say, if possible, have probably 3 months worth, because you never know if your insurance doesn't want to cover that particular medication.
Yeah.
Or or there's some crisis that's going on. Maybe there's a blackout and they're not going to fill it, or what have you. Anything. Right.
Yeah. And another thing that we always make sure that we have plenty of, and we just restocked, is that a mosquito in here? I see him up on the light there.
I do, but I don't think it's a mosquito.
Okay. Is batteries. And what we do is we keep them in like a little bin that's separate, just batteries. So we'll have our AAAs, AA's, those little round ones, the CR32s or whatever, I don't know what the hell they are, but those little flat disc ones.
They're like 2432 or something like that.
Yeah. So we make sure we have all the batteries that are most commonly used around here, because when you need them, you know, and it's important to have. So, yeah, just stuff like that we've been kind of working on. Indoor projects, right?
Yes. And rotating through food as well that we have put up.
Yeah.
To rotate and replace.
Right. You know, one thing I did this year a little differently is I left the carrots in for like ever. You know, I planted these things in the summertime, and for the summer garden. And you just removed the rest of the carrots like here, a week and a half ago?
Yeah, I decided that it was time for them to go.
Right.
They've been there for a long time. Some of them were the size of at least a zucchini.
Yeah, like turnips, man. They were huge.
They were huge.
Yeah.
They were huge, and there was no way you were going to be able to cut through them.
Yeah, they were super like woody. They got too gnarly, but there's quite a number of them that are still, you know, valid and viable. And we've been eating off of those ever since. So we don't have like a root cellar, cold storage or something like that, which would be obviously ideal to keep vegetables like that at 50 to 60 degrees. 55 degrees would be like, you know, you keep those things forever if you had a root cellar, but we don't. But they will keep in the ground. The problem with that, however, is that they will continue to develop, and they will get a little long in the tooth as far as being able to eat them. And some of them will get bitter, but you know, we were able to use the majority of them. Were they not?
Actually, we were able to use a lot more than I anticipated we would be able to.
Right.
But yeah, I was on one. I decided.
Yeah.
So I was out there for quite some time pulling up.
Yeah. And then the ones that are like you needed to do something with right away and weren't, you know, too old, I guess, or too developed, I suppose, you cut them up and then froze them, right? And those would be used for going into smoothies and stuff like that.
I did. I found out that works best as you cut them up, put them in a colander and put them in the freezer that way, and then bag them after you froze them, and they don't stick together, as opposed to sticking them all into a bag and sticking them in the freezer, which I have done. And they freeze like just a solid rock.
Yeah, no, that it works good. I can put that in my smoothies, which I have, you know, essentially daily, right? Yeah. So
if you freeze them before you bag them and then bag them, works great.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, Rebecca, since we're kind of ending up the year here, I suppose. What would you say is your biggest accomplishment or success of this year? What's the thing you're most proud of?
As far as homesteading?
No, as far as anything. It doesn't have to be homesteading. It can be what's your biggest accomplishment or success.
It may not be interesting to you guys, but it was kind of important to me.
Well, 80% of what we've said so far isn't probably interesting to anybody, but that's not the point.
But I did a dance class with my 2-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah.
And just in the 4 months that class it was amazing the growth that she did. We started in where she would scream and cry and didn't have anything, to getting in the car and saying, dance, dance, dance. And we'd go to dance. And I was surprised at what she was going to do for her performance. I was anticipating it not going well. And she did great.
No, she did.
So for me, that was a huge accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's awesome.
I was proud of her. And I had to dance with her too. So I had to set my anxiety of
that's good.
Being up on a stage and and just do it.
Yeah, that's great. It's important to tackle your anxieties, is it not? Right. Yeah, I would say for me, accomplishment wise, it's probably leaning toward my athletic pursuits. I'm very much pleased that I've been able to get back into a year where I have had a solid year of training and development in that regard. I've got a pretty amazing base at this point. And it's something that just takes time. And I've been there before in years past, but there was a time where I kind of lost interest in it and I wasn't as motivated to do the thing every day and to put the effort into my fitness. And so this year, I actually crossed the barrier or the threshold, which I had crossed many years in a row prior, which was running 3,000 miles in a year. And I crossed that right after, early in November this year. And so I'm at like 3,100 miles or something that I've run this year. But I've also been incorporating most recently, again, the cycling aspect of it. And that I can attribute to some of my best fitness is when I've been having a balanced attack of not just running and, everything, but I've been focused on not only the ride, but the run. And it just feels good to get back to doing something that's, I guess, healthy for your body. Mm-hmm. And biggest accomplishment for me of the year was going back and completing a race that I had failed at 5 years previously, which was the Bighorn 100, which is a tough race. I mean, it was hard. Mm-hmm. It was hard for me to finish that. I mean, I knew I was going to do it, but it was a tough day. But that's awesome, for me, and that's an accomplishment. Yeah.
Yes, you did it.
Yeah. So, what do you think about for plans for this next year? What are you looking to do for this next year in any regard? What's your goals? Do you have any goals set aside? What do you want to see out of 2026 that you didn't see or fulfill this year?
Well, one of the things that I talked about was putting together my own cookbook for myself. I have quite a few recipes that I've either altered to our liking, or I've come up with recipes on my own. They kind of start from a recipe, but they vary quite a bit to make them something sort of alike, but definitely my own. And I would like to actually, I was hoping to do that this year. And like I say, I collected the recipes, but I've never taken the time to organize them and get them into a book.
Do you have any idea what it would take for you to do that? I mean, it's one thing to have, it's one thing to say, well, this is what I want to do, but it's another thing to actually implement it or get to the steps where you're going to say, okay, now this is the next step.
Well, it's definitely going to take time to organize them into grouping them for much like a cookbook. If they're going to be a pasta or soup or cookie or, dessert sections. So I need to establish that and then organize those recipes into the different,
right.
And then at that point, incorporate them into those sections.
Yeah. And now this is just for your own personal.
This is just for my own personal.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
For the most part.
Right. Yeah, I would say for me, and this is something we need to discuss, but I have plans on doing maybe less homesteading commitment next year. Mm-hmm. So that will obviously translate into less content. And at this point, with the amount of content that I've been putting out on the channel, I don't know how much less that could actually be, because I haven't really been putting out a lot of content. However, that's generally what I'm looking to do, so that therefore we will have an opportunity, you and I, to maybe do a little bit more traveling. And now the traveling that I'm thinking about is getting in the motorhome with the dog and going and doing things.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, yeah, I want to go to the here and get in an airplane and fly over to the, whatever with passports and that shit. I'm talking about there's things here in the country, United States, that interest me. And in fact, if we want to, we could drive up to Canada. We've done that before. Unfortunately, the last time we did, it was all smoky. So it kind of sucked, actually.
Yes.
You couldn't see a damn thing. It was so smoky because of all of the fires. But that's my goal. That's what I would like to see for next year. And one of the reasons why is because life is short.
Yes, it certainly is.
It's very short. And it's never been more. Well, let's see. They say that, the average person who's 50 years old has like 22 years left, because the average males die at like age 72. And so now I'm 60 years old. I just turned 60 a month or so ago. And I guess statistically speaking, I've got like 12 years. That's not a lot of time, man. And now I'm not freaked out about that, but it goes back to what I just said, which is life is short, and you have to understand that, our time here is not guaranteed. It's very finite. And we never know when our last day is going to be, unless you have a terminal illness and you're on hospice, or you've been in declining health for the last 10 years of your life. It's kind of like, you don't really know when the last time you're going to put on your socks. How many people die unexpectedly? And so I did a little bit of research on that. Again, this is a very, very uplifting part of the show here, guys. Merry Christmas. But about 500 to 600,000 people every year in the United States get up, put on their socks, and then that was the last time, and they had no idea that it was their last day. So what brings this to mind is, what do you think Rob Reiner was thinking? You think he thought, I'm gonna get stabbed to death by my son? Or do you think Greg Biffle thought his entire family was going to fucking burn in flames when they left on their trip? No, of course not. You think Charlie Kirk had any idea that was the last time he was going to put on his socks? Absolutely not. And so 72, when we say that, we say, oh, 72. Well, you're a young 72. You're going to live a long time past 72. Well, guess what? I bet you Rob Reiner thought that too. I bet you Charlie Kirk thought, I'm probably going to make it to like 60. I'm probably going to make it to 50. I don't even think that dude was 50. Charlie Kirk, I think, was in his 40s. And so our time here is finite. I guess that's my point. And so I think it's important that we do things that bring us joy, and that we do things that are fulfilling, and we don't take things for granted. And you and I, we are very blessed, as I'm sure most people are that might listen to this broadcast. We all have a lot to be thankful for, so much to be thankful for, even though you might not think, oh, my life's great. Well, the reality is it's probably not going to get a whole lot better. It's just going to get shittier, because more people that are going to die, and there's going to be, it's just the reality of life.
Boy, you are just a happy person tonight.
Well, no, it's just a reality of life. And so I guess my point in saying all of this, life is short, is that's kind of what my plans for next year, hopefully, will allow me to do and allow us to do, because I really would have liked to have done some of that this year, but just due to unforeseen circumstances, which always come up in life, it kept us from actually doing some of those things. what with your surgery and just different things that come up.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to just make sure that we're able to go out there and do that. Right.
Yeah, we did a while back where we had taken the time and did quite a bit of traveling in the motorhome, and that was very pleasant.
Right.
Got to see a lot. And then of course, we decided to do homesteading, and that kind of kept us here. Well, along with other things that happened.
Yes. The circumstances of the pandemic was the driving factor in causing us to reevaluate, hey, maybe we should get back to doing some of these we because we are running a little bit light as far as it's concerned when we're talking about the things that maybe we have put back. We got plenty of shit put back now. Mm-hmm. We're set in that regard for quite some time, but we let ourselves get a little bit less than where we would like to have seen ourselves as far as the preparedness aspect of it. And so now that we're on top of things, it might make sense to take a little bit more time for ourselves and, enjoy the retirement that we've earned. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes. One of the things that I don't think that you have not been back east, correct?
Well, we've been back east, but not like from the standpoint. I mean, we've been to Boston and Philadelphia and shit like that. But I mean, like going back to see some of those places in the fall would be kind of nice. We had talked about maybe going and seeing some fall colors this year, and we were going to do that. But it just timing wise, it didn't work out. Mm-hmm. And so who's to know if timing ever works out, given the fact that you never know when you put your socks on, when that's going to be.
You and these socks. I think you ought to go to wearing just your Birkenstocks and don't worry about socks. All right. We'll take care of you.
I'm just trying to drive home the point, Rebecca. That's all. That's right. Yeah. There's a lot of times on this broadcast, I say to be better tomorrow than you were today. And I think that's kind of what life is really about, right? It's mm-hmm. about growing, not just being stagnant, not just idling through life, but actually growing through knowledge, growing through the whole experience of what we're here doing, mm-hmm. right? And there's a lot of different ways that one can grow, but I think one of the ways that growth happens is through tackling something that's scary, something that gives you fear, whether that's, let's say, getting up in front of a crowd and public speaking, whether it's like pushing the button on a live stream or broadcasting and talking or whatever, challenging yourself in a way that you think maybe I'll fail. And so what are you most scared to tackle next year, if you've given that any thought at all?
I haven't given that any thought. I think one of the things that I think about is that in every situation, there's a positive. And I think that's what people need to focus on, especially if they are having problems with, say, depression or whatnot. In every situation, there is a positive. There is something to be happy for. Mm-hmm. You're fortunate for one, to be here. But there's so many things that you could have been born without. Yeah. And just be happy the fact that you have, anyway, basically what I'm saying is that you need to look at the positive. When you start to feel down, start to feel negative, think about what is the positive.
So gratitude, having gratitude for the things that you have is what you're saying.
Yes. To help lift you back up.
Right. So that's a complete departure from the question that I asked you, which is fine. But I will go first.
Okay.
Because I have actually given it some thought. There's something that it scares me. not scared like, oh, I'm, having nightmares or whatever, but I like entering these challenges, these races that I don't know if I can finish. And so I like to pick races that are beyond what I think I can easily do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess what I'm thinking about doing is next year doing the race in Arizona. It's in Pine, Arizona, called Mogollon Monster. And it's a 100-miler along the Mogollon Rim. And that's a no joke 100 that I could have a fucking bad day there. It could not work out. But I think in order to challenge yourself, I could go and sign up for a race that I know I can do, a 100-miler. That's easy. There's not a lot of challenge there, but this is a challenging race because of the terrain and it's something that I guess scares me a little bit in some way. So that's one of the things that I'm thinking about doing next year. And I don't know if there's anything it doesn't have to be anything physical. It's just, there's plenty of things that should make one uncomfortable that they shy away from. So a lot of things that people decide, oh, I'm not going to do that because it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's more out of a fear for what is going to be the response in them doing that. Is it going to be their failure? Is it going to be that they become embarrassed? Is it going to be because it sheds light upon them and draws attention to them that they feel like, oh, it makes me uncomfortable when people judge me in that way? And the only way that people grow beyond that is just to throw themselves into the fire. And so that's what I'm kind of referring to when I say find something scary in your life, because it'll only make you better on the other end of it, because you'll grow from that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How much easier is it sitting down doing this than it was the first time you did it? Of course, it's a lot easier because you become more comfortable with it. When you get put into a new job, there's apprehension and uncertainty. But after a while, you're like, man, I've done this. I'm getting kind of good at this. This is getting a lot easier. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that with anything. So that's my goal for the year. And I challenge you on finding a goal for yourself. Maybe you're not interested in that.
Well, I will have to give it some thought.
Yeah. Okay.
But I honestly cannot tell you right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can tell you this, though.
What?
I would like to take trips in the RV, but I don't want them to be solely geared towards you running races.
Then
I'd like to go and take trips that we can enjoy together, not get in an RV, go to a race, me crew you at a race, and then we drive home. And that's the trip in the RV.
Well, we can take a 3 weeks driving home and see all kinds of stuff on the way back. How about that? Will that work? Will that work?
How about we take a trip where you're not running a race?
That's fine.
Okay.
Can we plan something? You could plan it. I've said that for how many years? Plan us a trip and I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you planned us a trip?
What happens when I plan a trip?
When was the last time you planned a trip?
Let's see. I planned a trip going to St. Kitts. Actually,
did we not all go 3 times?
Actually,
didn't we go 3 times?
You didn't want to go.
But did I not go?
I was booking a flight for myself when you were like, but I want to go.
Did I not go 3 times?
You did go 3 times.
Okay, so that was how many years ago?
That was a while ago.
So what I'm saying is book a trip and I'll go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. No problem. End of story. So we're going to take a trip, guys. What are you excited to see in the future, Rebecca, if anything? Do you have anything in the future that you're excited to see? Because I can tell you for myself, one of the things that I'm excited to see is how this whole AI thing is going to play out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it fascinating to see the speed at which things are progressing. And I know that there's not anything that any of us are going to do to stop it, but it's happening real time and we're getting to see a lot of changes. And I'm kind of excited to see where things go. Yeah.
So I was discussing with our daughter, since we did have the Tesla for a short period of time, and the changes in the vehicles from the Ford Focus to the Chevy to the Tesla, just in the keys and how the keys operated in the vehicle.
Everything has been that way, right? In our lifetime.
Yes, but I'm using the vehicles as an example and just the keys and how everything works. When we had the Tesla, I had to get used to the fact that I was not inserting a key into the car. So once I adjusted to that, and we no longer have the Tesla, and I'm back to driving the Ford Focus, I get in it and I have to think for a minute that I have to put a key in the ignition to get the car to go.
Yeah. So we talked about excited to see. That's what I'm excited to see is the advancements in technology. What are some of your biggest disappointments, if you have any?
I would say that I'm excited about technology, but I'm also kind of scared.
How so?
Because as we become more kind of robotic in some fashion, we rely on technology. It consumes our time. I don't think that there are as many people being born. And so I kind of am scared or curious as the decline of the human race.
Yeah, I guess I'm not as concerned about that as I maybe. I guess I'm just not concerned about that because there's really nothing that my concern is going to do to change any of that. And the reason why I say that is just because everything that came before us was a big change and a shift on how things were done prior to that. And so the changes that we're seeing moving forward, we can all sit back and we can lament about how things used to be. And, I wish it would stay the same, or when I was a kid, it was this way, and it doesn't really matter that the fact that you look back upon that fondly and that now things have changed. The reality is that things are changing, and we're here to, I guess, be witness to that. And once you realize there's nothing you're going to do, the worry you have is not going to change any of that. You can try to avoid it, but I think in the grand scheme of things, that only just disadvantages you moving forward, right? So if you don't want to use certain technology, that's your choice. But I think it disadvantages you if it's something that actually enhances your life's experience, makes things better. How many people said that about cell phones, but how many people now have cell phones? How many people said that about Amazon, but how many people use Amazon? And so I guess I'm actually kind of excited to see what is going to happen because it's happening so quickly, and we're going to actually see it. A lot of us would like to see, hey, what's it going to be like in the future? We're seeing that. And that to me is kind of, I don't know, I guess, interesting.
Oh, I find it interesting.
Yeah.
But again, I find it scary in the fact that it probably is declining the human race.
Right. That's probably true. That's probably true. We're moving toward, not enough people being born. The replacement rate isn't what it should be in many countries. And so there's a decline in population in that regard. And there's more of an influence being put toward the technological aspect of things. And what that portends for the future, I don't know.
So it's cool. I find it kind of cool, but I find it kind of scary, all kind of mixed in one. Not that I'm not going to use that technology, because obviously, as you've said, it is to your advantage to learn that and to use that.
Right.
But
okay. So that's interesting. I think for me, like disappointment wise, it would be politics. Politics is disappointing because I don't really know what to believe, who to believe. I think that there was a sense that I had at the start of the year, and probably many people had the same sense that things were going to be a little bit different, maybe with the incoming administration. And now to say that things are not different would be wrong on my part. They're completely different than what they were when we had, the previous 4 years with the Biden administration. That was quite something that many of us still, I think, are having a hard time imagining how that even took place. But, just seeing politics and the failure of certain promises to be delivered upon, and a recognition that, the Republican Party is become the party that's, like we talked about the other day, watching the Talladega Nights, where Cal Naughton Jr. is telling Ricky Bobby, hey man, why don't you just let me win one of these races? And he's like, no, man, if you win, how am I going to win? And he's like, yeah, man, I guess you're right. Ain't nothing wrong with silver. Ain't nothing wrong with silver. That's what the Republican Party's like. They're like, ain't nothing wrong with silver. We ain't never going to win. We're okay being second place. But how are you going to go from having all of the levers of power and not get jack shit done, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's meaningful.
That's where the disappointment comes in.
Right. Wouldn't you think that's a little disappointing? I find that very disappointing.
Yes. I had high hopes that things would change.
Right. And so here's where I think the disappointment's really going to come in, is people are going to become very disinterested in going up and voting in the midterms. And there's going to be a massive shift in the political wins, as they always are. There's an ebb and flow to all of this politics thing. But every time the Republican Party has been given power, they fuck it off. When they were given power to change Obamacare a few years ago, where they had the House, the Senate, and the presidency, what did they do? Nothing. Oh, we're not going to touch that. Right? People came out and they voted and they gave them power. And what'd they do? Oh, we're not going to touch that. Why? Because we're okay just having silver. Nothing wrong with silver.
Yeah, I guess there's that aspect, or if the deep state is just so deep that that the intentions are good going in, but those hooks get hooked into them,
Mm-hmm.
and there's just nothing they can actually do, even though in their heart they want to.
Right. Kind of like the old Bongino thing, right? Where he's like, yeah, I'm fucking out. I'm done with this, man.
Mm-hmm.
I went in with some kind of a thinking maybe I could get something done, and I realized I ain't getting nothing done. He said, I'm going back to my podcast. Good luck with that, buddy.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, they may want information out of him that they're not going to get, and that might take his podcast to a bad turn.
Yeah, so that's been a really big disappointment. You know, I will caveat that disappointment with saying this, that if the choice was between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, or a figure like Joe Biden, or even a figure like Obama, or Gavin Newsom, or, you know, pick your Democrat, I would run out tomorrow and vote for Donald Trump, even though I've been completely disillusioned in some regard with how he's conducted himself. But I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I should know this. I'm a grown-ass man who's been around for 6 decades now. And I should know that it's all an illusion, that we're getting jobbed. And I shouldn't be shocked when there's the party in power that just we're not going to do anything. We're going to sit on our hands and not make the change that people voted us in for. That's all.
So do you think we're living in a simulation?
I don't even really know what that means, to be honest. I've heard that thrown around, and I still have my head is hard to wrap around that. But another one of my disappointments that I would say that maybe kind of aligned with answering your question is just that I'm disappointed about the fracturing of what reality actually is. Mm-hmm. We're living in a time. So as I said, I'm excited about seeing all this technology and everything that's coming out regarding it. But the fact that we have technology now where you can't even hardly tell if it's a real person or if it's an AI created an illusion, that to me, it fractures everything we know about who to believe. Because if you can create something that looks like reality, but it's not reality, or if you can create a document that looks official, but it's not official, who do you believe? Right? We're all picking our own, oh, well, this is my source. I believe over here. Oh, I believe Fox News. No, I believe MSNBC. Or I believe what I see on my algorithm. And so there's just this fracturing of reality, which it separates us as human beings. Even though we all kind of have commonalities and things that we agree upon, we can't even agree upon what's reality. So to answer your question about living in a simulation, I don't even fucking know what that means. But I guess if I was to say or answer that, I would say that the fracturing of reality kind of like leads you into maybe wondering, are we living in a simulation? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Are we in the Truman Show?
Yeah.
So I don't know. And then I have, I guess, one more thing that I'm a little bit disappointed at for this year. It's just the public discourse, right? That's upsetting. When you see a guy get shot in the neck, and then there's people immediately saying and celebrating that, mm-hmm. and they're like, "Oh yeah," you know, and justifying that level of brutality and violence. It makes you question, like, who are these people, man? Are they actually real? We don't even know if they're real. That could be some Russian bot or whatever. It's just trying to get people whipped up on the internet.
Yeah.
Maybe there's no people that are actually that hateful. But again, to the whole thing of fracturing of reality, what are we watching here? When we see a guy get murdered, Rob Reiner gets slain, and then there's people saying things that are like Trump, what he said. The fuck is that, dude? Right?
Mm-hmm.
You can't even just come out and say nothing. We're saying, yeah, that's a tragedy. There's no place for violence in this country. But you got to go on some rant about how he's got Trump derangement syndrome. The fuck is that about, dude? You're the president. You're supposed to be uniting people.
Yes.
That was a straight up Obama move. That's the shit Obama would do. Getting people all whipped into race relations.
It's unfortunate that he said that.
That was a big whiff, man. Trump took the L on that one. But I don't know. I don't know what a guy like that is thinking. You're the president, dude. Do the right thing. Just say fucking nothing if you have nothing nice to say. But he's going to take a shot against the guy, and the guy's not even around to absorb the shot. Who was that for, asshole?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's people that are like,
yeah, I don't get that one.
No, there's people that are hurting, like his family members and the people that were closest to him, regardless of what you think a guy's politics are. That's just like, what kind of humanity does that? I can't get with that, dude. So I don't know. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, is the public discourse. We have our politicians that people are supposed to look up to are doing this. And then how does that translate to the rest of us? You know, there's a lot of bad shit happening out there that constantly gets fed to us.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. This is not very uplifting.
It is not very uplifting.
But that's okay. That's all right, Rebecca. We'll be okay. Right?
I suppose we will.
Yeah. So anyhow, do you have anything that's uplifting, since I've been so...
Well, one of the things I was going to say earlier when you were talking about Christmas and we had kids and how exciting Christmas is, they're excited to wake up in the morning and open their Christmas presents and get all wrapped up in that. And then we go through a period of the kids growing up and moving out, and we're here. In our case, we don't even have a Christmas tree.
Mm-hmm. Don't look at me.
I'm looking at you because you are just Mr. Anti-Christmas tree.
I'm not anti-Christmas tree. I just
don't want to deal with it.
I don't want to deal with it. But neither do you, really.
No, I do.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Should we go out and get a Christmas tree?
I was a little late now, but
yeah.
So for me, you may not feel this, but for me, I feel the energy now having grandkids and them being excited. And one of the things that I found very cute is our grandson was, I was getting ready to give him a bath,
mm-hmm.
and we have the sponge ABC, or anyway, they stick to the wall
mm-hmm.
in there. So there was about 5 of them that were stuck to the wall, and he pulls it back. And I don't know if you guys have, I know you have heard of the elf on the shelf, where families get these elves and they place them in an area. And then when the kids go to bed, they move the elves in different positions in different rooms, or they'll spill something and put the elf next to it as though it snuck away and came back. And anyway, you get my picture. So I pull back the shower curtain and my grandson sees these letters on the wall, and he assumes that his elf came down and did that.
Oh, yeah?
So I couldn't let it go. I said, you know what? I'm willing to bet that elf, he snuck underneath the car and he rode down here with us. And while you weren't looking, he came in this bathroom and he put those letters up on the wall. And then I called my son and I said, so help me, if you have these, you need to put them on your wall and lay the elf down in the bathroom.
Oh, that would be funny.
So for me, it's kind of reigniting that excitement because we have little people. He was very upset we didn't have a Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Seeing the youngsters, it kind of reinvigorates, that enthusiasm, like you said, for this time of year. I get excited about it, but it's not the same level of excitement as when we had kids, and obviously when you were a kid yourself. But Christmas is a great time of year, and the holidays, all of them, all the way through to New Year's, is a great time of year, and one that should be celebrated, and people should be able to come together. And, I hope everybody has, a great gathering with their people, whether that's at Christmas or whatever it is they celebrate, Thanksgiving and, other holidays that are out there that exist. But, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm fortunate to come from a fairly large family. And as we've grown, we each take a holiday that is held at our house. Obviously, we've talked about, we do Thanksgiving, where both sides of our family come. And then I have a brother who does Easter and a sister who does Christmas. And so it's really nice because it gives us an opportunity to enjoy the holiday without having to be the person who's cooking and be stressed out and do that.
No, it's great. I get a chance to, I guess, see not only our family, but just, it's nice seeing that this time of year where you happen to catch it on your social media feeds and stuff, people dressing up in their Christmas sweaters and, taking pictures with the family and celebrating. That's what it's really all about, is being with the ones that you love and taking this time to be grateful. And I guess I would leave you with a quote. This is from a guy named Roy T. Bennett. Have no idea who that is, but the quote goes as such. It says, "Be grateful for what you have while you pursue your goals. If you aren't grateful for what you already have, what makes you think you would be happy with more?" And there's a lot of wisdom and truth in that, because as you said, there's plenty to be grateful for. Having the gratitude for the things that you do have, rather than always looking at what you don't have or looking at somebody else and, I wish I had what they had, or what have you. Just be grateful for what you have. Your ability to act independently, to be free, to not be in a jail, to have your eyesight, to have your legs, to have everything that we have. So, I guess I'll leave you guys with that. And it's been kind of fun sitting down, chopping it up with you, Rebecca, as always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
Now we should go have some hot cocoa and
oh boy. Oh boy.
And a chewy peppermint stick.
There you go. Well, right on. Well, hey, thanks guys. We'll see when we come on again sometime soon. Maybe next week, maybe the first of the year. I don't know. We'll see. But till then, thanks for joining us on episode 129 of Porterhouse and Teal Live. And remember, homesteading is not harmful content, and try to go out tomorrow and be better than you were today.
Have a great Christmas.